Do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me? Over.
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower, Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. Say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah!
Get some. All right. What's going on, everybody? It's another Baby Friday. The weekend is almost here, and we got another show coming on. So before we get started, you know how I like to do the do. Hey, this is a great show. It's all about freedom of speech and First and Second Amendment, things that I fought for 21 years while serving in the motivated green machine, the Marine Corps. And if you like what you hear, make sure you like and subscribe, as well as pass it on to your friends and family, whoever you think if they might enjoy the show. If not, you also have your own choice to swipe left, keep going, and listen to something else. Maybe you can support Sitch Radio and listen to some of the awesome shows that are in there. There's something for somebody in there, or maybe you could check out Combat Vet Vision as well on there. So. But with that being said, today we got a really good show. I brought back my buddy Steve, who is a world traveler on a motorcycle. He's that dude, that friend that that, hey, he's been there, done that, and now he's basically, on a motorcycle? Yeah, I've done that. So we brought Steve back because during his travels, he just encountered a couple of things. I was like, man, you know what? That would be a great topic. It hits home for me a little bit as an immigrant. So with that being said, why don't we just bring in Steve the Wiz Wisnoski.
All right. Hey, Frank, how's it going, buddy?
What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me again, man. How are you doing?
No, I'm doing great, but just doing the do. I'm doing another podcast, man, and I get to chit chat with my buddies. So that's awesome, bro. But why don't we just dive right in, man? So you got a new. Let's start off with this. You just launched your own YouTube channel, did you not?
We did, yeah. Travelando el Mundo. We only did a couple videos so far. They're not as easy as you think, so they're a little rough around the edges. But yeah, we're gonna keep doing it about our travels and stuff, and try to make it maybe more informative than anything about traveling on a motorcycle in Latin America.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I do follow in our conversation that we've had, and I do follow some other folks on the motorcycle industry who are doing that type of thing. I think your video is a little bit more realistic in the sense because you do walk through the process. Oh, this is what happened at customs, this, that. But yeah, so and that's kind of like in one of your texts, because you and I stay in touch through WhatsApp.
Right.
We just bullshit all the time. You had sent me a text in regards to, hey, check this out. This is what I'm currently going through, and that was kind of like what I was like. Hey, you know what? That will make a great show. But before we get into that, a few months back, you got into a pretty bad spill when you were out with Mariyori traveling around Colombia. You guys got into a pretty bad accident. Can you tell us a little bit about it? What happened?
Yeah, unfortunately, we literally were riding on a mountain road in Colombia, beautiful place, curvy, mountainous. It's the rainy season. And literally a landslide with a whole bunch of rocks came down and hit us on the bike. And we crashed pretty hard. I've got a fully separated shoulder. All the ligaments are disconnected. So I'm nursing from that. Thank God Marjorie didn't even get a scratch. She's like Wonder Woman.
Here we go. We got some of the photos right there. That's your bike right there. Like we can see.
And there's a rock underneath the bike. But yeah, the whole mountain just came
right down.
There. Yeah, terrible. But thank God, we're alive and we're healing up. Yeah, there's my bent fork. My rim was bent. The front axle was bent. I mean, the bike it was not rideable at all. Plus, I wasn't ready to ride it anyway. So
Yeah, look at
Yeah.
that, man. I think that's the part that hurts the most. You're like, oh shit, my baby.
Well, and the rocks and trees were still coming down, and I wanted to go back and
Yeah,
rescue the bike, and
yeah.
I was like, no, yeah, there's my shoulder, there's my collarbone and scapula, totally disconnected. The bones, it's sticking up out of, well, it's not sticking up out of the skin, but it's pretty ugly. I'm like a little hunchback right now in my shoulder area.
Yeah, well, and you can see that big ass boulder right there in your bike. I mean, and even on the video, I didn't want because I didn't have time to send Brian the video, but yeah, it's
Right.
a pretty big freaking boulder that almost hits you. You had people with you, right? They barely missed it, and you applied your motorcycle instructor safety skills up in that shit, real life.
I did. I hit the brakes hard, swerved to the right, and there was like a 3.5 foot tall boulder missed us, and then I gassed it because my mind said, "Get out of this danger zone." And for a split second, I thought we made it, and then we got hit by another rock, maybe in the side case. And so when you see the bike laying down on the ground, it's actually facing the opposite direction we were traveling too, which is kind of weird.
So it spun you around.
I guess so. Yeah. You're a motorcycle guy. You've been in accidents and you don't really remember everything. You get tunnel vision real quick and you concentrate, and you can't, without a video, you don't know exactly what happened. But I did get the bike fixed, believe it or not. In the US, it would have been totaled without a doubt.
Yeah.
In Colombia, I had it totally put back together, mostly used parts from other crashed bikes. And it was $2,000, like amazing. And now you haven't told anybody yet, but I'm actually currently in El Salvador on the beach, about 20 miles outside the capital of San Salvador. So Marjorie and I are riding right now from Panama up to Mexico. So the bike's back in business. It's got 166,000 miles on it that are all mine, and we're still chugging. We're still cruising, man. We're still doing it.
That's amazing. Yeah, and a great segue, by the way. I'm glad that, yeah, you're right. In the US, they would have said, screw it, boom, bike is totaled. Here's your money. Have a nice life. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that the red beast is back is back on the road. Yeah, and it's funny. Yeah. You too. I mean, it would have sucked when we got that text. I was there. I was like, dude, go to the VA in Medellin. And I was like, but thank God that they patched you up pretty okay. And yeah. So I got this text message. It said, "Hey, check out our channel, and we're in Panama. This is our new, and for those of you who don't habla, traveleando is kind of like Spanglish for traveling, basically. Traveling and viajando combined together is around the world. So, and I was like, huh? What the? I was like, record scratch. I'm like, what? Where?
Yeah.
What? The bike? What? And so you've been traveling now through. So right now you're going through Central America and stuff, right?
Right. Correct. Heading up towards Mexico.
And and then you send me this text message, basically saying, dude, we ran into these people. They're from different parts of the world. They're really African and this and that. And so there's a part for everybody that doesn't know, and I think Steve might have mentioned it, or I don't recall on our last podcast, but there's a place called the Darian Gap, and it's about, I think, like, what is it, 40-mile stretch that was not built, the Pan American Highway. It's a highway that runs from South America all through North America, but there's a part that was never built, whatever, and it's very dangerous. Some people try to cross it on foot, and there's a lot of crime, this, that, and so on and so forth. So, but that some people do that treacherous trek. So, Steve, just tell us a little, that your story, and because I know you've been in the Darian Gap a couple of times already.
Yeah. So I haven't been actually in the Darian Gap personally, but when I headed south like 4 years ago when I left, I rode all the way to the end of the Pan American Highway where it ends in Panama. And like you said, it's about a 60-mile gap of a dense jungle with mountains and rivers and fish and indigenous and bad guys and stuff like that. Anyways, and then I've been in Colombia where it starts back up again. But like you said, this Darian Gap It's never been developed. There's no road. There's nothing. So if you want to get to South America from North America, you ship your motorcycle or fly it or your car or whatever. So we flew the motorcycle up from Bogota to Panama City, and then we rode up to a town called David or David to us gringos, on the other side of Panama. And we stopped at a hostel. That could be another podcast someday. Talk about how hostels work to Americans. But so we're in a hostel, and a hostel basically is where you share a kitchen, and they have dormitory rooms, and they have private rooms, and there's different combinations, but you meet a lot of travelers there. Well, this hostel was jam-packed with people who had just crossed the Darian Gap by foot. And this is like a 4 to 6 day hike through mud, like I said, rivers. Obviously, there's snakes and there's deadly spiders. And, unfortunately, there's some drug cartels in both sides of Colombia and Panama. So this is a stretch that a lot of people are coming through, and there's drugs and other things. And I've heard about it, I've read about it, I've watched videos, I've seen people drag their motorcycles through the Darien jungle and kind of jeep through it, but they didn't actually make it. And so in this dormitory, it was filled with, I'm just going to use the word immigrants. You could say refugees or political asylum seekers. There's all different words and definitions for people. And I don't want to get into that. But so Marjorie and I firsthand saw these people and spoke to them for several hours over the few days we stayed there. And there were like a couple Cuban ladies when we first got there. Then a group from Haiti came in, a group from Ghana, Africa. And when I say group, I'm talking 10, 15 people kind of. I talked for a good 2 hours to 2 Pakistanis, which was really interesting. And they all had similar stories. Some of you guys out there may have seen some documentaries, or maybe you have some interest in the Darian Gap, but this is firsthand knowledge. And they were coming in at different times and leaving. And there were a couple pregnant ladies. There were some tiny, tiny children. There were some young children as well, not babies. And they all had similar stories. And it's heartbreaking whether, I don't want to get into the political side of it at all, but if you have any compassion, when you see what these people had just gone through, you want to help somehow, even if it's just helping with some food. I took a couple of the guys from Ghana, Africa, and they spoke good English and stuff, which made it a little easier. But I took them into a drugstore to help them buy some medicine, and we gave them a little food and some conversation. But these people, their feet were all swollen. They were bitten by bugs all over the place. And the stories they had were just horrific, Frank. You read a little clip, but what are you kind of interested in? What would you like to hear?
No, just expand, you said, that, I mean, and again, this show, we're putting the information out there and, raise awareness as well. I mean, people were being raped, killing of children, this, that. I mean, just pretty much the story that you told me. I mean, go ahead and expand on that, man. It's
right.
important.
So basically all of them, and they were separate. They weren't all together. They all had the similar stories that, and I was kind of surprised, maybe, I don't know why, and I'm not trying to badmouth anybody, but the guides going through the Darien Gap are the indigenous people, which makes sense. They've lived there for thousands of years. They know the area. And it's a tough place to live, but they kind of own it. They control the area and stuff. And they're doing really bad things to these people coming through. I mean, I guess I'm laughing because it's kind of sad, but basically they all experience, like the women and the children, the young girls are getting raped. Not every single one of them, but every group experienced somebody in their group who got raped as they were going through the jungle. You got to figure it's a 6-day travel. They go down rivers in some boats, and there's always kind of a new guide. There's some new people they're running into, the locals, and okay, everybody give me $20 now for the next 3-hour walk through the jungle. And they don't know where they're at. I mean, you're totally at the mercy of the people guiding you, and it's hard, man. You got a backpack and some sneakers, maybe, or boots. They're not equipped for this, and it's hot and it's rainy and there's bugs, and these people are just taking advantage of them, and they're like holding them at gunpoint and checking like every crevice of their body for hidden money they might have. So the whole way through, they're just getting like tortured, basically. And you're in this really tough environment that if you twist an ankle or you break a bone, or, your blood pressure gets high and you pass out or something, that group's going to keep going because you're going to die. So, so women and children are getting raped. They're getting robbed, and there's no camps. There's no place to sleep. So imagine 4 to 6 days out in this with babies and stuff. And, yeah, I mean, it was crazy. There was one couple that was there, and I mean, they said a lot of them didn't want to talk about it, of course. PTSD, right, brother? Basically.
Right.
One of the guys with his wife who was at the hostel, like, she got raped in front of him. So the husband watched the wife get raped. And people that like hide money to try not to get it stolen, and again, this doesn't happen to every single person, but every group, they kill somebody. They all saw dead bodies, guys, women, children along the path, because not everybody's making it. And, we see clips in the news and they're kind of politically biased and stuff, but it's happening. And for example, the people from Ghana, they flew into Brazil, then they went to Peru, and then Ecuador, and then Colombia, mostly on buses and stuff like that, right? And then they have to go through this 6-day hike in the jungle, and then they're kind of back on buses and taxis. And they're crossing the borders illegally. The taxis know how to do it. It's kind of like an immigrant underground railroad kind of thing. Yeah, it's unbelievable the suffering that these people are going through. How desperate do you have to be to put yourself through this? You know what I mean? I just couldn't believe what we were hearing, and it was, yeah, I'm almost at a loss for words, because it was just incredible in a really negative way. You know what I'm saying?
No, I can totally relate. I'm transparent about my life and such. My mom, she came here illegally, and later on, obviously, she went through the process and became a citizen, and so did my dad, and so did we. So I can relate what people can. Again, the price of freedom and the pursuit of happiness. A lot of people, and the U.S. is not perfect by no means whatsoever. But that's the image that, hey, if you go there, everything, when you're there, everything's gonna be okay. You're gonna do this because, to some degree, that's the image that we see. I still have a long extended family down in Colombia. That it's over the years, the perception has changed. But when I first came, everybody thought that, we were rich. And that the roads here, are made out of gold, and everybody, cars, but it's that whole perception that they don't know that, you have people who were doctors and engineers and this and that, who are mowing lawns over here and, doing whatever it takes to hustle. I mean, hell, I work in my company where I'm currently working at. There's a lady, she's Cuban. Very lovely lady. She's a janitor, but in Cuba she was a nurse.
Yeah.
Granted, now some people get, hey, I don't want to do that anymore, whatever. But again, what costs? We're gonna, a person who wants to thrive and exceed in life and make something or provide for somebody back in wherever you're from. They're gonna, do whatever it is that they have to do in order to make shit happen, is the bottom line. And these people, regardless of your political background, whichever side, the human aspect is like, oh fuck, that shit ain't easy, especially these people from Central America that we've had in that, and right now sitting at the border in Mexico. It just, on the human aspect, it's like, God damn, what did they have to go through? And then you right there put the real, put the most realism for me.
I'm sorry, I cut you off, but yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree with you as well, Frank. If you keep all the political sides out of it and we just kind of talk, facts, if you will, because like I said, you get a little glimpse of the news, this, that, and the other, but yeah, just thinking about the person in front of you that you're having a conversation with, for 45 minutes or an hour or 10 minutes. And you're like, this is a real person with real struggles. And these people, they don't have passports and all this. So they're doing it illegal. They're open about it too. But that person doing what they're doing is they're a pretty strong-minded person. They're very strong-willed. Obviously something really horrible is going on that pushed them to actually go on this voyage. But that is a strong person. So you got to give it to them there. Who knows if they're going to get in the U.S., if they're not, what kind of person they're going to be. But it's interesting. I want to say a couple other little things about the process, just in general. But it's interesting that the people are coming to the U.S. That is the truth. We see that on the news, and it is happening, and they're trying to get in the U.S. So imagine all the countries along the way. So, for example, you got Panama, then Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras. Then, depending on which way they go, they probably go into Guatemala, then Mexico, and there's a beast train. If you want to read or watch that, it's another awful thing. They ride on top of these boxcars for days in the heat, in the cold, in the rain, and the girls there get raped and they get robbed. And some people throw food and water to them, and other people try to rob them. It's crazy what they go through. But so imagine now you're a country like Panama or Costa Rica or Nicaragua. Now these people aren't really wanting to stay there anyway. They're trying to get through. Well, Panama basically a lot of times puts them on buses. And then they have a refugee camp kind of near Costa Rica that I learned about. And they bring them there and they kind of do a quick health check and maybe give them some food. And then essentially they're pushing them through the country, if you know what I mean. It's like, okay, we don't want you here. We know you don't want to be here. So we don't want you living on the streets, hanging out and struggling in our country. So let's facilitate you out of here. So kind of Panama helps them and sends them up to Costa Rica, basically. And I don't know exactly what Costa Rica is doing because I didn't see anybody there. But so if you're a country and you have these people coming through your country, what do? A lot of these countries just facilitate it. They're like, go, keep going. They did that with the Venezuelans, another story. But then the crazy thing is the corruption down here, the government refugee camp outside of David. The word is now that before they leave, they're making all of them pay $50 in cash. So they're getting exploited even at a government facility in Panama. So it's crazy the stuff they're going through. They're kind of Western Union sending money from home. They're not carrying like $20,000 with them. They're getting bits and chunks along the way. But now Mexico is having a big problem, right? Let's keep the politics out of it, but Mexico has lots and lots of refugees who are trying to get into the U.S. and they get pushed back or whatever. So Mexico has a huge problem with all kinds of folks trying to get in the U.S. So now Mexico is making it really hard to get into Mexico, for example, if that makes sense. Guatemalans now need a visa to visit Mexico. A lot of Colombians are being sent back if you fly into Mexico City or Cancun. Marjorie got sent back to Colombia a couple of years ago. She has about 70 stamps in her passport, and she's always traveled legally and perfectly to Europe and all over South America. And they said, oh, you don't have a traveler's profile. And they actually, maybe the guy wanted to go to Bogota, I don't know. But they threw her on a plane. They paid for it, Mexico, and they flew her back to Colombia and said, no, you can't come in. So luckily, they didn't put a red mark in her passport, and she was able to visit Mexico a couple times since. But so now Mexico is clamping down on who they're letting in as well. So it's a pretty interesting logistical problem, even for good citizens, legal citizens with passports and stuff. Their restrictions to travel now are tough. So I don't know. Yeah, just imagine that. I'm so fortunate, right, Frank? Us Americans, we don't realize it, but we have one of the strongest passports in the world. When I roll up to the Costa Rica border, they're like, hey, basically, bienvenidos, welcome to Costa Rica, gringo, don't worry. And Marjorie is a wonderful person, totally honest, clean criminal record, all that stuff. And she got there and we didn't know. They were like, hey, she's Colombian, she needs a visa. So we couldn't get the paperwork in time for our travel plan itinerary. So we're on the same motorcycle, right? And they won't let her in and they will let me in. So she ended up flying into El Salvador, and that's where we are now. So pretty pretty crazy. We have a lot of challenges in the U.S. and life is complicated right now, from what I understand. But
Yeah.
we got a lot of freedoms, and you're right, man. Thanks for your service, and I did 23 years in the military, so I'm glad we have what we've got. But yeah, life's problems are complicated, right? I was at a meeting once with an admiral, and we were all, not we, but some of the people were saying, Admiral, this problem's difficult. We're trying all these different things to solve it. And he's like, if it were easy, it would have been fixed already. So get back out there and do some more work and bring me some more recommendations. So the problems we have are tough, and immigration, it's a tough one.
Yeah, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Willie Valdivia. He's glad that you walked away from the accident, that you're okay now. It says God bless you on the comments.
Thanks, brother.
But no, immigration has always been a very sensitive, topic, and I know it is with me. I'm an immigrant myself, but I have my own personal beliefs, and again, keeping all the politics out of it. I know, as Colombian citizen as well, because I do have dual citizenship. I know Colombia has gone through some struggles when, with the whole issue with Venezuela and, their political, I guess, lack of political government that they have over there. And it does, there are, just like anywhere, it just brings a whole new, when you have a filtering device or some type of way to vet people through. I mean, everybody comes in, the good or the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You get all of it. Not everybody's bad, not everybody's good. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, what is it that you do? Because at what sacrifice? It's a tough thing. I mean, hell, you and I grew up in the times where Ethiopia was a thing, hunger, famine, lack of rain, that's
right.
providing aid, but yeah, so it's amazing too what people are going to do, to keep their family alive, to put food on the table, hell.
Yeah.
In Qatar,
Yeah.
I mean, everything is 100% contracted. I mean, the Qatari government has, they have their system, but I mean, all you see over there are foreigners. I myself was, as an American over there, you're a TCN basically. You're a foreigner.
A TCN.
Well, not a third country national, but you're what was that? What we used to call it? A foreign national, basically, is what we
right.
Everybody. I mean, there's people from the Philippines, India, United States, Russia, everybody. I mean, everybody's just working and trying to provide, do something for their families back home. So
yeah,
it's a tough one, and it's super sad, to hear, women, children. I mean, fuck, a kid doesn't ask, a young girl doesn't ask, hey, hey, mom, dad, take me with, and then, along the way, this shit is gonna, Jesus Christ,
Yeah, and that's the thing, keeping the, kind of the subject to the human side of it is, and this is just an opinion, but it's like, man, I mean, who am I to judge? But, why are you bringing your little kids on this journey? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, these, as an adult, you got to do what you got to do. You make your own choices. Boy, I don't know. Yeah, who knows? I thank God, thank my parents. I think my mom and dad are watching, so shout out to my mom and dad. Thanks to you guys, and just whatever. Just being fortunate to be born where we were born. It's just, life is not fair. Life is not equal. But anyways, bringing your kids into something like that would be, I don't know. But these people were real with me, man. Another thing too, I guess, while I was talking to him, there was this one. He was 28 years old and from Ghana, and his wife was with him. She was sitting next to me, actually. And, they were kind of telling me, where they were going and what they kind of thought they might be doing. A lot of them already have family either on the way or in the U.S., in Chicago or New York or whatever. And this one young guy, he was like, what do you recommend for me once I get into the U.S.? And I was like, well, I mean, because I didn't, I don't want to judge these people either. I just wanted to talk to them and see what was up. Because, I mean, maybe some of the viewers are like, you need to discourage them and tell them to go back home. And I get it, right? I get a lot of comments from my friends too. You know, we all have different views. But I was just being genuine with these people. Like, hey, I just want to hear your story and, you know, see what's up. And he's like, well, what do you recommend? And I was like, well, I go, number one, I would try to find out where your homies at. Like, where are the guys and girls from Ghana? Where are they? I don't know where they are in the U.S. You know, and you know, find out where the opportunities are. But I said, but the main thing is, I said, Americans, we value hard work. That's one thing, right? We value hard work. So if you kind of keep your head down and basically kind of your mouth shut, as in don't cause problems, don't be, you know, going to political marches or something like that. Just, you know, put your head down, work really hard. I go, and Americans will appreciate that. And I think I'm just speaking for myself, not everybody, but, you know, the United States, they're not really chasing down illegal people too much in my knowledge. So I told him, I said, you know, as long as you work hard and you contribute to society, that, you know, you probably won't have that much of a problem. Because other countries are not like that. Like in Switzerland, for example, I've got friends, and Marjorie visited Switzerland, and I'm not saying they're wrong, but this is what they do. If they hear you speaking another language, they speak basically German, French, Italian in different parts of Switzerland, and English. But when they hear Spanish, like basically the police come up and they're like, hey, let me see your papers. Let me see your passport. Are you here legally? You know, we don't get that in the US, right? Or else, you know, 43% of the population would be showing their papers all the time. So, so there are.
I mean, it'll be like huge. What are you doing? Discrimination, you know.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Like, hey, well, you have an accent from some other place, you know. You belong here. Yeah, that wouldn't fly in the U.S. But anyway, that was just my advice. Again, just kind of being a human to talking to another human. You know, make yourself valuable, right? I mean, you're right. We're a country of immigrants, and some of yous came in illegally, Frank, and some of us. Well, my great grandfather, I don't think he came in legally. So, hey, I was born there, but doesn't mean we all have a history of proper legal immigration. So I don't know.
Right, and that's why they call it, you know, the U.S. the melting, you know, big melting pot. You know, they literally. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it does make you appreciate them. And I think us service members, you know, the more we travel, the more that we deploy, whether, you know, it was, you know, under orders or, you know, going, you know, taking the fight to another foreign land, whatever, it opens up your eyes to a lot of things and makes you appreciate, you know, the little things in life. I mean, hell, I remember, you know, even running water, you know, a shower, whether it was cold or hot. I mean, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, little things like that, that some people don't have that luxury. I mean, you know, so.
Dude,
you know,
I just rode my motorcycle Panama through Costa Rica, through Nicaragua, just a little bit through Honduras because I was going to El Salvador. If you look at the map, you'll see why. But we're gonna go back into Honduras against my mom's best judgment, probably. But anyways, and now in El Salvador. And bro, you're right. Like it's incredible. The structures that people live in. They're not even houses. They're made out of like tin, or they're made out of a little bamboo. And I mean, they're not really nice. They're you know, dirt floors, no windows, no doors. I ride by in Panama and, you know, there's no door, and there's like a pig walking in the house and a chicken walking out at the same time. And it's like, I mean, this is how people are living. So there's obviously, they might have electricity potentially, but yeah, no running water, no showers. And I mean, there's beautiful places too, you know, it's a mixed bag, but a lot of it's pretty tough. And actually, you know what? Can I share one thing with you? This is something that I had an epiphany, Frank, 4 years ago when I was in Panama. I remember this specifically. So I had been on my trip a couple months, not too long. And I was feeling sorry for the people I was passing by, right? I don't know if I was judging them, but I was like, man, this is horrible. And I'm seeing these houses like I'm explaining to you. And I see this young girl, maybe 10, 11, like walking down the side of the road out in the middle of nowhere. And I ride by in my motorcycle, and to myself, I was like, man, that poor girl, you know, she's got no opportunity. She's going to be stuck here in the jungle in Panama forever. She'd probably go to school till she's, you know, and, you know, 14 years old, if that. And she'll just never be able to get out and experience the cool things that, that my kids have experienced in myself. And bro, immediately in my mind, and I hadn't been thinking about this, immediately in my mind, I could hear this little girl say, oh, look at that gringo who rode by on his $20,000 motorcycle. He's all alone. He's lost. He doesn't know where he's going. He hasn't seen his children in 8 months. You know, he doesn't hang out with his brothers back in New York because he's from California. You know, that poor guy, look at him. You know, I get to see my grandma like every day. We have parties all the time, right? We eat together. We live together. My cousins, my brothers, my sisters, my mom, my dad are all together. Look at that poor lonely guy out there traveling alone. It was like really, it was weird, bro. Like I was like, oh, I felt sorry for this girl. And my mind was like, oh, that girl feels sorry for you. So, you know, is it the worst life in the world? I don't know. Relative to what we expect and what we want is horrible, but I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad. All the food they need is like growing on trees outside. And you know, dinner next week is that pig that just walked in the house.
Yeah.
Right? He's hanging out thinking you're protecting him, and you're gonna slice him up and have some bacon sandwiches next week. So I don't know. That was just, I just wanted to share that with you. It was an interesting, I'll call it an epiphany. I don't know if that's the right word for it. It was pretty wild.
No, I think, and you know, it's funny. I was just like talking about this to somebody, I think at work yesterday. And I think that's why a lot of service members, you know, struggle with this when they went, you know, overseas to Iraq and whatever. But it's all about perception in your world and how you see it. So you're right. She sees it one way, you see it the other. And some people, you know, wow, extreme poverty, this, and they struggle with that when they come back. Man, I got to see this, that, and that affect me mentally. And you know, but that's another topic for another subject. And you know, but
Yeah.
But Steve, so give me the address. Just tell me your YouTube channel's name and how we can find it, and then I'll post the link to the channel.
All right. So it's Traveleando el Mundo. Maybe you better say it better.
Traveleando el Mundo. It's like travel, and then at the end, EANDO. Put that Traveleando. El Mundo, Mundo. That means world. And it's on YouTube. I'll put it out. I'll put the
it's actually travel eando. So it's travel, then IAN.
Oh, and walk. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
El Mundo. Yeah, post that up there and check it out. We're like I said, we're getting into it. The videos are a little sketchy or wonky, if you will. They're harder to do than you think, but I'm trying to make them informative. You know, we don't have crazy drones and beautiful cameras, so to try to compete on a video level, can't do that yet. But I want to, you know, I want to explain it. Yeah.
Well, brother, hey, safe travels. Remember, you know, how we used to say in the motorcycle safety industry: rubber side down, shiny side up, and you know, be safe, brother.
All right, thanks, Frank. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you. We'll bring you back. Have a safe travel, man, and thanks for your service, brother. All right,
buddy. Thanks for your service too.
Well, everybody, hey, that was Steve the Wisnoski, and again, you know, what price will people pay for freedom, and what things will they do to provide their families? You know, borders and you know, immigration and policies. It's a sensitive topic anywhere you go, anywhere around the world. So, you know, that's for you, the listener or viewer, you know, to ponder and think upon. So before I head out, if you've been struggling with, you know, if you're a service member, veteran, and you're struggling with things at home, and you know, you're having those deep, dark thoughts, I want you to reach out. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to a friend, do a buddy check. If you haven't thought of a buddy for a while or talk to them, reach out. And if you're struggling, like I said, you know, reach out to the VA, reach out to me, but just reach out, because we don't want you to be a statistic and have to hear about you the other day. Because at the end of the day, even though shit may seem really bad and difficult right now, believe me, you will get out of that hole. I mean, I myself was in that place a couple of weeks ago, but my support system reached out, and here I am talking to you today. So like they used to say in boot camp, chow to chow, Sunday to Sunday. All right. So with that being said, I think we're gonna index this show today. We'll bring Steve back some other time to fill us in on where he's been. But with that being said, folks, I just want to say, "Ara, get some." I am out.